Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the program. Today I want to talk about this article about this new evidence that they found for hunter-gatherer trade in North America. And now this isn't that old. It's old in the sense of American prehistory, but in the grand scheme of things, obviously it's not that old. But about 4,000 years ago, so about 2000 BC, around there, there's been this discovery of this cremation burial in the American Southeast on St. Catherine's Island off of Georgia. So this isn't a good one. So here's here's the Google Maps version. This is a satellite image, and as you can see, Georgia, if you're not American, is a state in the American Southeast that's directly north of Florida, and the sea level here is really low, and if there were like a 5 feet rise in sea level, then pretty much almost all these the shoreline is going to be completely different. Along the east coast of Georgia are these islands, and one of them is called St. Catherine's Island. This is where they found this very peculiar burial. It was like a huge circle, like was it a stone circle or a seashell circle? I forget, but there was a ring of seashells, and then they excavated right in the middle of it, and they found this cremation burial, which is kind of like a mass grave, but not that massive. So there are about 7 or 8 individuals they think were buried in here, and the reason why they think that this indicates a 900 mile trade route is because of not only of what they found there, but also the practice itself of cremation burials are very, very rare in this area, and it's more prevalent. That style of burial is more prevalent in the Great Lakes area, which is considerably northwest of Georgia. So if I just zoom out here, so some parts of the lakes are directly north, but then Lake Superior is up here. Up here rather. So northwest. And so they suspect that there were trade links or some sort of exchange of information and goods going on at the very least 4,000 years ago. So some of the stuff they found were a ceremonial copper object, again this ring of seashells at the ancient gravesite. The circle of shells measures nearly 230 feet across, and at its center was, again, this pit that they unearthed, containing the copper band, bits of stone tools, and tens of thousands of ash-encrusted bone and tooth fragments representing at least 7 individuals. Such cremation burials are rare in the southeast for this period, and they did a chemical analysis of the copper band, and they radiocarbon dated it between 4,300 and 3,800 years old. So right around that time period, 2000 BC. And just to give you guys some perspective of how old 2000 BC is, this is a few hundred years after the supposed construction of the pyramids in the mainstream date they give to the pyramids. And that's about 1700 years before the death of Alexander the Great. So this is still a long time ago, and there were people in America carrying out these very interesting cremation burials and trading with each other, all, I guess, continent-wide trading, which again is unheard of. Also, this copper band, the radiocarbon dates show that it originated in the copper mines at Lake Superior. So again, Lake Superior is way up here on the border of Ontario and Wisconsin, and parts of Minnesota as well. And look how far that is. That is a crazy, crazy amount of space there, and that's roughly 900 miles at the very least. I think that's a conservative estimate. I think it's probably a lot further than that. So people living in the southeast and the Great Lakes regions may have gathered together at Georgia's McQueen Shell Ring, which is what they're calling it, the McQueen Shell Ring, and they were clams, oysters, hickory nuts, etc., etc. So some of the questions that come to mind here are, okay, so if they had stuff that came from Lake Superior that far, so how long did it take for them to reach that point of exchange across that far distance? Because it's pretty safe to assume that even though those dates indicate 2000 BC, that's just when that burial was made. So how long before that? Because every single discovery in archaeology and anything, stuff doesn't come out of nowhere. There's usually a context and a history behind what's found. And if we take this growing evidence of a vast trade network amongst the people who were living on North America at the time, then again it begs the question: how long were they there? How long was the culture there? How much of their culture is based off of an older culture? How related are they to the people who crossed the Bering Strait, or the people who surfed the coast, the people 18,000 BC, 20,000 years ago? How closely related are they? Are they even related to them? Before the Ice Age, all of this was, a lot of the stuff that's underwater now was above water. And so were they doing what the people in New Guinea were doing when the sea levels were lower? Were they using intervisibility techniques? Were they island hopping? Again, there's a lot of questions here, and I hope that they do a further detailed analysis on the DNA, because they did find ash and they did find teeth. So hopefully there's something that they could garner out of that, and hopefully it's useful for other future excavations and research as well. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. If you're from Georgia, are there any local legends about these people, about the indigenous people in general? Are there any interesting origin stories? Let me know in the comments, please. And yeah, here's a closer look here on the island itself. Yeah, you can see there's a ton of, it's a marshland basically, and it's, if you've ever been to the Everglades in Florida, this is about like a few steps before it reaches that point. But you can see all the different, you can tell how low the water level is here. So I'm glad that they just found something there before something happened, because you know there are a lot of hurricanes going through that area lately, a lot of rain. It's very humid, and so stuff doesn't really survive very long in terms of human remains and that type of stuff. So yeah, so anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If this is interesting to you. Again, if you're from the area, let me know if there's any local legends or any research that I can look further into, and I'll talk to you guys later.